Let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this prediction video covering Impact Wrestling Homecoming. I am the SKFeffect, and I am joined by my friends Itsameinvasion, or BT Invasion, however you know him by.
Hello.
And then we are also joined by, I'll let him keep his name right now, the Red Standard.
Hello. You may as well call me Red Ranger because I sound like a complete different person right now, but I guess that's what raging does to your voice, even though I've been sick this whole past week. But I'm excited. We're here. It's a new year. Happy New Year to you both. And we are now currently in pursuit of this pay-per-view. I'm going to run that pun to the ground, by the way. I know you hate it, Steven.
I think you already have.
I'm just going to run that to the ground. We are pursuit pay-per-view this Sunday night called Homecoming, and we are here to do our predictions, analysis, opinions. The last time we were here, Steven, I believe, was one of the highest viewed prediction videos.
Bound for Glory did get the views on it, so let's see what magic we can create in pursuit of this pay-per-view event.
There you go.
So, the first match that's listed on the card for this is one of your guys' favorites, because I know you two love this guy so much. You two back this guy and defend everything he does, including his fashion. And it is Moose versus Eddie Edwards.
God. Oh, no. All right. Hold up. Let me start off here, because the last time we were here, there was there's a little bit of controversy about what came from my pick. Because
controversy, huh?
Okay. When I do these predictions, I'm giving my prediction, my analysis of what the company's going to do, not what I want, because what I wanted was an Eddie Edwards victory, of course, and which is what happened. But I predicted Moose was going to win.
Which I think me and Invasion predicted Eddie winning. You were the one that went against it.
No, because I predict what the company does, what they want to do. And okay, and I'm glad. But the reason I said Moose was going to win was because I knew that was not going to be the last match. Eddie was going to win the last match. That's what I said. It's on tape. You go back, and I predicted that Eddie was eventually going to get the victory in the end. And now, here we are, 3 months later, they have another match which is built to be the last match. So, my prediction, of course, will be going back to that last one that I made, and Eddie is going to make the victory. Just all full circle. It all came full circle. You see, I redeemed myself from that controversy that came from the last one.
Good save.
Because some people have to go out and tell him directly as if I made this decision what I wanted. Because there ain't no way that I want that thing, whatever you want to call him. I'm not even referred to him by name.
Yep, that thing. All right, well, I'm gonna go Eddie Edwards too, just because. Hey, it's Eddie. The guy's on a roll with wins, and surely they gotta lead up to something for him. BT.
I'm a little more loyal than some people I know, so I'm still gonna go with Eddie.
All right, so we got Eddie all around on the table. The next match. The next matchup is the Monsters Ball match, where TNA Original Abyss faces Eli Drake. Guys, what has Eli Drake been doing recently, anyway?
So the storyline here is coming off of Bound for Glory that Abyss came out and attacked Eli. And one thing that I like about this is that wasn't just a one-and-done thing to get Abyss onto Bound for Glory. There is a storyline to this where Eli is currently calling himself the last of a dying breed, of the true wrestler that doesn't depend on the hardcore spot monkey style of wrestling. And throughout the weeks, we've seen Tommy Dreamer and Raven get involved, trying to get, some hardcore matches into Eli. And it all leads to this Monsters Ball match, which I'm sure is going to be, your usual Abyss Monster Balls match with the thumbtacks, the cardboard, barbed wire, Abyss trying to put his mask back into place.
Normally involves Abyss losing, too.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what this is. It's going to be Eli getting the win and hopefully maybe, going upward and onward from here.
You know what? Eli Drake needs some big wins, so... Because he was actually an entertaining champion Then they got Austin Aries back, and then Eli Drake just fell off the radar completely. So hopefully this will help get Eli Drake back on path towards something, significant.
In pursuit of a championship.
Ugh. He's lucky I can't hit him right now, folks.
I agree with the Eli pick, but mainly because, my reasoning personally is I was at the Bound for Glory Hall of Fame induction, and something Abyss said, really stuck with me. He said, when you get to the top, your job as, a wrestler or as a person, regardless of what you're doing in your life, you should be building other people up, so when you get to the top, you have people to celebrate it with. Right. And I think Abyss has done that throughout his career, definitely, but I think this is one of those solidifying moments where he kind of did show up Eli at Bound for Glory. He got, that happy moment, his Hall of Fame induction, and then that moment where he put Eli through the table and everything. But I think that he really needs to, help Eli get back on track by giving Eli a win here, and I think Eli defeating somebody like Abyss with the Impact credentials that he has could be beneficial and could help Eli get back on that radar that we've been talking about.
All right, so again, we're all in agreement. Eli Drake will be picking up the win here at Monsters Ball. So next up, it's going to be the Tag Team Championship. LAX versus the Lucha Bros. Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. There are a lot of rumors around Lucha Bros and where they might end up in 2019. But
well, no, they did announce that they weren't re-signing with MLW, and that Impact were able to re-sign them.
Cool! I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, it was recently that they announced that. So they're definitely going to be sticking around a lot longer. And the story here it's actually a pretty interesting one. Where after Bound for Glory, when the feud with the LAX and OGs were done, the OGs still wanted to get back at Conan, so they introduced the aspect where Pentagon and Phoenix were introduced in the United States wrestling scene by Conan. And of course, in your head, you're thinking, well, these guys associated with Conan, and LAX is with Conan, so you're already putting into your mind that eventually these two teams are going to come together, and probably these two are probably the best tag team going around wrestling right now. So I don't think the feud's going to end at this pay-per-view. I do think it's going to evolve even further, maybe even playing up the Conan story a little bit more afterwards. But I think, LAX has been the cornerstone tag team wrestling in Impact for pretty much the whole year 2018. Except for that bizarre month where Eli, Steiner, and for some reason V&E had the tag titles. LAX has pretty much been the tag champions for pretty much all of 2018, and I think putting it on Pentagon and Phoenix does, it gives those two something new to work with. And after the feud, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they add in OVE into a triple threat tag title match and into the next pay-per-view for, even more craziness to come.
Plus, if I recall, LAX, they just mentioned how they hit, they are the longest reigning combined tag team champions ever in Impact, yes?
Yes, it's true.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be, they're going to let the Lucha Brothers, and my God, Impact. If you give them the tag team belts, let them have a better freaking reign than you let Pentagon have the world title. Because, I'm sorry, giving him the shortest reign was one of your worst mistakes of 2018.
Yeah, I have to say Lucha Bros here, too. I really like LAX a lot. Big fan of everything that they've done for the tag division and just how they've grown in a short amount of time, in my opinion. But I kind of feel bad for Phoenix in a way, because, yeah, you just said Pentagon did have the shortest reign, and he was world champion, and his reign should have been a lot better and should have been a lot longer and much more memorable instead of just remembering his win. That's pretty much the most memorable part about his reign.
Yep.
But Phoenix, on the other hand, I think he's put out some of the best matches in 2018 in wrestling in general, but then when you look at Impact as a company, I think he put out some of the best matches in 2018 for Impact as well, some of the best performances. How many times has Impact uploaded videos or or screenshots or GIFs or anything like that of him just doing all of these crazy moves and just constantly reinventing his moveset. And it seems like once you think you know what Phoenix is going to do, he does something else and he creates another scenario that you haven't seen before that's completely fresh in regards to everybody else on the roster. So I think when you do something like that, a championship is a good way to,
So
pay that, just like support that talent and recognize them for everything that they have done. And I think Phoenix and Pentagon would be perfect ambassadors for Impact regarding their tag team division.
All right, so I got Lucha Bros. BT said he got Lucha Bros. Caesar, are you on LAX or Lucha Bros?
I think Lucha Bros has to win this one. It helps freshen up the tag team scene in Impact because, if LAX wins here, I mean, it doesn't really do much for Pentagon and Phoenix going forward. I mean, yeah, they're probably, they're great enough singles wrestlers, but I think putting them in the tag team division for now really helps. Because, I mean, the tag division in Impact for much of 2018 was pretty much LAX and OVE and the OGs. And,
Yeah.
I mean, as big of a fan of I am of the Bessie Hit Squad, I mean, come on.
That's been another downfall, though, of the tag division. I feel like Impact has struggled ever since the prime time of the tag division. They always now, the common theme seems to be that they always have a really good tag team that they place the champions on, and then every other team is less than. And It's definitely felt, whether it be story-related, promo-related, or just, winning-related, win-loss ratio. But I think they have a unique opportunity here, and if they don't capitalize it, that would be a shame. And I think they could do so much more with the Lucha Bros win. And I do think they need to build up some of their tag teams that they have to make them more credible. But I also think they need to start looking at some fresh talent. And that's why I'm excited for, Zachary Wentz, Desmond Xavier, and Trey. But I definitely think they still need to get back to the days where the tag division seemed like they had so many options and all of them were credible. And the fan base within Impact Wrestling was so split on everybody because everybody brought something different to the table, but they also did it in a way that, they not only stood out, but they helped the product.
All right, well, let's skip up to the Ultimate X match for the vacant X Division Championship, where Jake Christ faces Ethan Page, Rich Swann, and Trey Miguel?
Yes.
All right.
So basically, this one is coming off of Brian Cage's Option C.
Right.
He vacated the title. We'll get into that later. But between these four, I think the X Division is just a hard thing for me to really analyze because it's like, I mean, how many times have we heard revive the X Division? The X Division is getting a revival, and it's just, I want to believe it most times, but it's just that
they just can't decide what they're doing with it.
There's just a bit of inconsistency. Like I remember last year that storyline with Sanjay and Loki. I really loved that storyline. I really thought that at that point the X Division was certainly, it was certainly coming back into what it once was. They were finally getting storylines rather than, here's a good match. Which, isn't that a bad thing? But it's like when you get too much of that, it just becomes stale, and you don't really build off of anything. But I'm just looking at these four. When I make these predictions involving the championships, the one thing I look at is kind of longevity and featured challengers. And one person here, I think Rich Swann, I think will probably be the best choice for this one, just because his style really just makes it's really a throwback to what the X Division really was. He really a great in-ring wrestler. I mean, how many matches this year has Rich Swann been in that people have said, "Oh my gosh, this match so awesome." So I think him as X Division champion, and he's also as well. I mean, the charisma off the roof of that guy. So I think he would be a great choice, and maybe a second best choice. This one playing off of featured challengers would probably be Ethan Page, because I was kind of upset that Matt Sydal wasn't in this match because I thought a match like this would be great for him. But if Ethan Page were to win, of course, I think, there's a featured challenger there for Matt Sydal where he says, hey, I'm the reason you're the X Division champion, give it to me. And then he's just like, okay, well, no, I'm the champion. And So I think either Swan or Page is probably going to win this one.
Probably. I'm going to go with Swan, too, because he's thankfully, it's not the case of, hey, he's the flavor of the week. He just came from WWE. He's been there. He's had matches. He's paid his dues. He's worked his way up some. Not quite as much as some others, but he's at least been there. He's made, pun intended, an impact in the company. I think if they're going to put the belt on him right now, it's going to be a good time, especially since they're not having him beat anyone per se to win the championship off of them. It's vacant. Rich Swann can win the vacant title and then be that guy others strive to beat.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to make a different argument here. I'm not, the person I'm picking, I'm not just picking because it's a different pick than you guys have chosen, but when I look at everything, I think, as Caesar was saying, the X Division, how many times has it gotten, hit the reboot, or, here's the X Division's back? Like, how many times are people going to say that? And I think the problem with doing that so often is the definition of the X Division gets lost over time. People start to become confused, and then when you build new fans, they don't really realize the history behind it unless they do that outside research and do things like download the Global Wrestling Network app.
It's a cruiserweight match. No, it's no limits. No, it's 205. Yeah,
And I'm kind of disappointed when I looked at the card and saw the options on the table for this match. I think the only credible options in this match are Rich Swann and Trey Miguel, and I'm saying that only because I really like Ethan Page and I like Jake Crist a lot as well, but I think Ethan Page is a big star for Impact in the future. But when I think of X Division, people always say it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. That's true, but that doesn't mean that you can throw everybody in the ring. Not too long ago, we had Grado in an X Division match, and that was just absolutely the most disrespectful thing. No, but that was bullshit. Like, whoever booked that should have been fired and just...
You put respect in his name.
Pay.
You put respect in his name.
You have to respect the X Division, though. The X Division's given so much to Impact and TNA, where Grado... I have my opinion on Grado, but... I just feel like when you do stuff like that, it blurs the definition of what the X Division truly is, and you're insulting your fan base. And I know that's another thing that's thrown a lot around so much on the internet, where it's like, insulting the fan base. But it's like, when you do something like that, you're blurring your own definition. You came up with this concept that was so unique and inspired a generation of wrestlers, and now you're essentially putting that in the trash can.
Yeah, well, I mean, look who vacated the X Division Championship. Brian Cage.
Yeah. We'll get.
But that's the thing. With Brian Cage, though, he can keep a fast pace. Granted, I don't like Option C. Option C needs to go away as well.
Hey.
But Brian Cage can keep a fast pace. Brian Cage can be that guy, that can really support some of the smaller wrestlers, like Lashley did, in his match. I believe it was with DJC.
When Lashley was an X Division champion also?
No, that was terrible.
Lashley wasn't slapping his ass.
Brian Cage is one of those people that can be quick. Unlike Lashley, he can keep a fast pace in the ring.
Right.
But he also can support those smaller wrestlers. But my pick for this would be Trey Miguel, because I think Ethan Page doesn't belong in the X Division, in my opinion. He's a great promo guy and a great wrestler. This just isn't his spot. Jake, I really want with Dave, and they need to be,
tag teams.
There needs to be a lot more build behind them as a tag team. Rich Swann's great and all, but I think if you really want to... with a moment like this, Trey, a lot of people are going to say, he hasn't been there long enough. But this is one of those moments where you're in a tough situation and you have these 4 options. Now's the time to install this trust and enthusiasm within a talent. And by doing so, Trey Miguel is one of those guys you put him in the ring and he's going to prove himself. And he's proven that on the indie scene in every promotion that he's worked for, whether it be tag team, trios, or by himself. So once you give him the X Division title, if you really want to do a reboot, but don't call it a reboot, do it with actions. And I think that's the proper way to do it, by giving Trey Miguel that spot in the forefront.
Speaking of reboots, let's get to the Knockouts Championship, where we're rebooting Tessa versus Taya once more. Championship on the line, but this time a little special twist tossed in, as Gail Kim will be a special guest referee. One of BT's favorites. I know that one.
Yes.
So, this has to be the show where Taya finally gets it, right?
Yes.
I mean, Taya's been chasing that belt for a while.
Well, okay. So the story here is it's coming off of Bound for Glory. There's 3 matches here that's coming off of Bound for Glory. But it's coming off of Bound for Glory match where Tessa beat Taya, and Taya's been calling out Tessa about how she had to go through some shenanigans to retain the belt, one of which she actually got DQ'd. And because of that, we have a special enforcer in Gail Kim. This is another one, again, longevity and future competitors, where I think Tessa has really made herself like one of the cornerstone of Impact, like not within the women, but even like beyond both the men and the women. I think she ranks up there as one of the best performers in Impact. And
well, what didn't
I get what you go ahead.
Didn't she post recently, like Sports Illustrated named her like the number 4 female in like professional wrestling, number 4 and number 5?
I think it was 3.
Oh, number 3. Oh, my bad. Even better. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take anything from her. I think Tessa's been doing a fantastic job from what I've seen from highlights online. But I think it's going to be. I think it's time for Taya. I think Homecoming is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Impact as the main champions.
I just think that there's just more that Tessa hasn't done as the champion. I think you should just continue to roll for her as the champion, because I don't think now really isn't the time for her to, because I know there's some future challengers that await her, like maybe a Jordan Grace, who just recently debuted with the company, and even a Rosemary, who's pretty much going to be coming back soon. Of course, she's going to be involved with her stuff with Su Yung.
I'm about to say, I think Rosemary's going to have some other issues to take care of before she gets back to the Knockouts title picture.
Yeah, and you can also just I don't think they should rush into the Jordan Grace match just yet. I think you can save that one for pay-per-view. So, while Tessa, as full champion, you could elevate someone like maybe a Kira Hogan or maybe an Alicia Edwards, in the meantime. So, I do think, and I do understand what you're saying, because, they have made Taya, like, so far, it's in 3 months since they've been feuding, and this is the 3rd match in, but I don't know. I just don't think now will be a good time to have Tessa drop the title.
All right, so I've got Taya. Standard has Tessa. BT, where are you standing?
I'm saying Taya. I said Taya Bound for Glory, but looking back on things, I think it would have been another one of those situations where you put a title on somebody that's hot, that's fresh, that's has the wrestling world talking, and then you rip it from them too early. So I kind of agree what they did there, and they did give them a lot of time, which was good, and the match was competitive. So Taya in that loss she wasn't shown as unworthy or anything. But now I think is the time to pull the trigger on Taya finally getting a championship within Impact. And I think you can go in a lot of different areas with Tessa without the title now. And Taya, she has so many fresh options as being, the knockout.
Like who though? Like who? Because I look at the Impact Knockouts roster. A lot of them are pretty much like faces or they're involved with other storylines. Like you would think maybe like a Su Yung maybe, but they're intertwined with her and Rosemary and Kira and Ali. But other than that, who else would Tessa or Taya be facing?
Well, with Taya, I think that's the unique part about it. How many people, has Tessa interacted with since coming to Impact? Not too many, I would argue. I mean, some here and there, maybe a little bit, but not in-depth rivalries or matches, with enough time. So I think Tessa, without the title, she might be able to build up some other people as well as building up herself.
Right.
But with Taya, I think, you pointed out Rosemary coming back. They have history. Granted, I know Rosemary and Sue, they're going to be interacting first, obviously, and that's most important. But then through that, I also feel like, Taya and Jordan Grace, that would be an amazing match. That's something you can build towards. That's unique, that's fresh, that's new. But it's also, you're capitalizing on that same sort of excitement that fans have with Tessa and Taya. They're strong women.
Right.
They have a completely unique moveset. And then when you go to Jordan and Taya, they're kind of more common-like than where Tessa and Taya, they're similar, but they have their differences. But with Jordan and Taya, I think they're a lot alike, and I think that could provide a unique and interesting perspective.
All right, I'm going to pull you two back because we got one match left. I'm sure for Homecoming, kind of like they did Bound for Glory, hopefully this week we'll see more stuff added. I'm sure Dark Alley is going to be added somewhere on the card. Maybe they'll do another final deletion type match segment that they did at Bound for Glory.
He probably will, though, because I don't think the X Division Ultimate X match is going to start. So, and that thing takes a long time to take down or set up. So
right.
you might need one of those videos to.
So let's get on to the last match that we have announced, because I know BT's got his own thing getting ready to start up. It is the Impact Wrestling World Championship. Johnny Impact Wrestling himself versus Brian Cage, former X Division champion who cashed in Option C, which I'm sorry, BT, I love Option C. It's one of the more interesting things. It's just more interesting when it had its own pay-per-view designated where you knew Destination X was coming up. Who's going to hold that belt to actually get to cash in at that time? That was cool, not a random, hey, you know what, I'm deciding to cash in. That's what I don't like. I liked when it had a designated pay-per-view. Because, I'm sorry, that created some cool moments where you knew Destination X was coming up. And, that guy that everyone hates right now going, I'm going to go Option C and cash in. It was cool.
I disagree with that, though, so much because my biggest thing is and this is just my own opinion. Everybody has different opinions, and I respect your guys' opinions. But my thing is, Impact, like we were saying, has hit the reboot on the X Division so much that it's like, every week we're just waiting for when's the reboot going to happen. It's dull, it's boring, and it's like, it's hard to get reinvested. You believe in the talent, but is the story going to pay off?
How many times did they reboot their title belts last year?
Yeah, but my thing is, when you take a talent and they're the guy in the X Division, and then that guy willingly throws the belt away for just a shot at another belt, it's like the X Division Championship doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, it provides unique perspective, and it builds up a little bit of hype within fans. Oh, what are they going to do?
But think, it's kind of like,
go for it,
there's
every single year.
There's that old saying of, you're here to be the world champion. You're here to be that top tier guy. That was a cool thing. But you know what? Let's get back to the actual point here. Who do you have? Johnny Impact or Brian Cage?
Well, the story as you mentioned is, of course, the Option C. But other than that, there really hasn't been anything. To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed in this build-up with this match. I did think it's a match that could have been interesting had Brian Cage, A, not lost, and B, the X Division Championship situation. Because, he just comes out and says, oh, hey, you remember that Option C thing that we pretty much forgot about? Like, I'm just going to use it now. Why?
You know what would be great is if they could use clips to show the rivalry that these two have had from Lucha Underground. Kind of use that to give, hey, there is this really big history and background behind these two fighting.
Well, the thing with Lucha Underground is that it's not really much of a wrestling promotion, but more so because it's their world.
Standard. I understand the point, but there's still Johnny Impact and Brian Cage have history there. They've done great matches there, so you could still show highlights of that. Just you don't have to get into the whole story behind everything of Lucha Underground, but you could say
just showing clips.
Exactly. These two have gone to war in steel cages and all of this through Lucha Underground.
Well,
I don't like this match.
Yeah, I'm kind of just upset mostly because, I think this could have been a big match if, not necessarily not because I'll give my prediction right now. I don't think Johnny's going to lose his title anytime soon. I think, he's going to be the face of Impact for a while. I do hope that maybe Austin Aries might be coming back recently. Yeah. They kind of rekindled the little Twitter feud going around. So maybe we'll see him back. I don't know. That's just assumption. Maybe Eli could win, but just looking at this match itself, I'm kind kind of just upset because I think it could have been a lot bigger. Where going in, you don't know who could win, like the undefeated Brian Cage or Johnny Impact in his first pay-per-view defense. And I just think there really hasn't been much story between these two other than Brian Cage is challenging for the title. Like I think we need more than that. Like much like Moose, where they built him up as this is my first time going for the title. This is my motivation. This is why I want this match. This is all and I know Austin Aries' weaknesses, and I'm going to go after them. And Austin Aries saying, well, you know what? I know all your weaknesses, Moose. You're a terrible football player. You're better off in the XFL. You suck, which is true. And there hasn't been much exchange between them two that I want to see this match. It's just I think it's going to be a good match. Don't get me wrong. But I just think for your main event, you need to provide more than just, it's going to be a good match,
All right. Have you let the rage out? Have you let the rage out now?
I've been trying. I'm trying to contain it.
So you're going Johnny Impact?
I do also have to mention, because they've also been playing up a storyline that Killer Cross wants to bring out Johnny's evil side. He wants to align himself with Johnny, but Johnny's telling him to basically just F off. So maybe Killer Cross might get involved, and who knows? Maybe after this match, we'll see Johnny heel turn and he aligns with Killer Cross. I mean, you didn't mention Lucha Underground. I think maybe Johnny being a heel, Worldwide Underground Johnny. I think that would probably be for the better.
Killer Cross will take Johnny down the rabbit hole. All right, so I'm going Johnny Impact. Standard?
Yeah, Johnny Impact.
BT?
Yeah, I'm going with Johnny Impact. I mean, I think it's going to be a great match, but I don't think it was just properly executed. The two main things that I don't like about this match is option C and then the hype around it. I think they could have capitalized a lot better on this opportunity, could have really sold people on it. But I'm going to go with Johnny Impact.
Again, dude, we are 4 days away from the pay-per-view itself, and they only have 6 matches announced.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we could probably see. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we haven't. The wrestler of the year for 2018, Sami Callihan, is not even booked on the pay-per-view.
Yep.
So
he'll probably get involved. I mean, think. Jake Chris can have the rest of OVE help him during Ultimate X. It's an ODQ match. But
even with 6 matches, I mean, that's probably, these are the 6 main matches. Any other matches they announce is pretty much they're just throwing stuff in there. Let these 6 matches get the time that they need to be, to live up to the potential. I mean, especially with a match like LAX and OVE. I mean, you just let those guys get a lot of time, and I'm sure they're going to tear the roof down.
We also have to be aware, though, that this is Homecoming, and they're promoting all these old-time segments and these old-time people. I think you have to integrate them as well in this pay-per-view, and that's something else that I forgot to say that I wanted to say earlier. I think in the Knockouts match, yes, they included Gail Kim, who has done a lot for the Knockouts division, and has done some pretty great matches. But I also think that they should integrate some other former Knockouts into a segment or into this match somehow. And, maybe not cause the end of the match, but just be involved in some way or in some way on the pay-per-view at all. I think only recognizing Gail Kim with this opportunity, I think there's others that also should, show up and it would build up hype.
Well,
there's also the Monsters Ball match where we'll probably be seeing Raven and Dreamer, probably.
Mm-hmm.
There's that.
All right, well, see what they do this coming Sunday, January 6th on pay-per-view, Fight app, however which way you can use to watch or stream the Impact Wrestling Homecoming pay-per-view. I am the SKFeffect, joined by BT Itsameinvasion, because he just can't decide what, he's like Johnny Impact. He's got 5 different names no matter what he's doing.
So many faces.
And then the Red Rager, the Red Standard.
Yep.
We will see you guys.
Make sure. Oh, Steve, hey, you're gonna cut me off like that? We gotta get through the promotion. Hey, if you guys like this video, make sure that you leave a like on the video, and make sure that you sub to the channel. And if you want to be notified every time a prediction video or a 2K19 video drops, you're going to want to hit that bell icon to be notified every single time that Wrestling Road Rage drops a video or does a live stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Red Standard is the best hype man you can get for free.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to add?
That's it.
Well, we hope everybody watching has a happy new year. I'm sure we are currently in pursuit of the Impact PPV this Sunday. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for it.
That's me hitting him in the back of the head.
But thank you for having me on here again.
All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you all next time.